So the first thing, welcome everybody, welcome to your November meeting. So the first thing on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Does anyone have any thoughts, changes?
Just that it's the November agenda.
Yes, we made that change.
Do you want to move? Do you need a move to
Yes,
approve it? I move to approve it. Second.
And then all
in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do I need to do a full roll call? Or just say we're all here?
No, do the whole.
The whole roll call. You're gonna have to give me a minute because I'm sorry I don't know all your names yet.
I'll add those next time. I don't know if this is decorum, but yeah, I usually just have people introduce themselves.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, Allison Glacken. Stephanie Lee.
Joel Henderson.
Alexa Whitman.
I'm Patricia Rosenberg. And then the next item is the approval of the August 2023 meeting minutes. Are there any notes or changes to the minutes? Have a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve. A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And the next is bond project and finance updates.
Great. So just get all these documents out of the way. So this is just a quick update on the affordable housing bond. So we have 3 projects that we've talked about before. None of those projects are at the contract point yet, and so there has not been any money drawn down. So they're all just currently allocated, and those projects equate to about $13.6 million. And so we just wanted to kind of give you a visualization of where we're at with the bond fund. So that's the projects plus our administrative allocation equates to about 34% of the total affordable housing bond funds, and so that leaves about 66% left over for the future years and future projects. And so another thing to update about is that the Affordable Housing Services Program, which is our funneled through our planning program, that's how we receive projects through their application process and grade them and decide on what projects get selected. That program is currently considering some revisions, and so that will go to the full board on December 5th. It's small things, mostly about like preferences for different types of projects around homelessness and energy efficiency, and they're also looking at aligning some things with different HUD recommendations. And so the board will consider those revisions on December 5th, and then we'll update the Affordable Housing Services Program materials after that. And so the next Affordable Housing Services Program, it's a long acronym, application cycle will start in December. And so it'll open December 11th and close January 26th. That's the current timeline. Our team then goes through all of those applications and does our internal analysis, and then we bring recommendations to the full board in April, and hopefully they get approved in the budget and start. They are allocated for fiscal year 25, which is July 1st, 2024. So this is just a small update, but this is where we're at with the affordable housing bond.
And then on the open space bond side, one quick update that happened since our last meeting was that all of the evaluation criteria for the 3 components of the bond have been adopted. So we've been able to move forward with project funding. And the first project to receive approval is the Woodfin Greenway, which this is actually 2 different projects that are both part of the larger Woodfin Greenway. One is the Beaver Dam Creek section of the Woodfin Greenway, and one is the Highway 251 section of the Woodfin Greenway. The budget for those projects was approved by the commissioners last month, including the allocation of bond funds, which is that $1.27 million you see there. And that makes the Woodfin Greenway the first official open space bond project. We also have 3 conservation easement projects currently in the pipeline. These projects have been approved by our Land Conservation Advisory Board and are currently in a due diligence phase, which includes the appraisal, environmental studies, and some other pieces as well. Once that due diligence phase is complete and we go into closing, they will also be coming before the commissioners for approval. And then in addition to those identified projects, we do anticipate that there will probably be a couple more conservation easement projects in fiscal year 24. And so on the right here, we have kind of the bigger picture view of what the open space bond will look like at the end of FY24, which is that we will have allocated approximately 11% of the bond funds and still have 89% remaining to be spent. Additionally, now that the criteria has all been adopted, we are able to move forward with the application process for passive recreation lands. We're currently finalizing the application and guidelines for that window, and it will be opening in early calendar year 2024, and with us going through project review and selection in the late spring, early summer. Because of that timeline, we don't expect any allocation for passive recreation lands in fiscal year 2024, but we will be anticipating some in fiscal year 25.
So next is our financial advisor update. Matt's not here.
So let me read these slides and see if I can speak. So our plan is that we would be issuing this debt along with our regular debt cycle, which is biannual. Does that mean every other year, not twice a year at this point? So that's upcoming in the spring. It will be a major process for us because we are due for a credit rating presentation. So this is kind of a big and a good time to get all of this reset. So working very closely with Davenport, who is our financial advisor, we have a plan. We're already developing schedules for issuance of the debt next year. And that includes, so way back at the beginning, we told you all about how our relationship with the local government commission leg of the NC State Treasurer's Office is very crucial to the successes of debt issuance in North Carolina. We already have a call scheduled with them upcoming in the next couple of weeks to begin that pre-application process. So we are on schedule for issuance of the first round of debt, calling the actual first rounds of cash for the projects that you just heard about.
It's amazing.
Yes.
Can you, for the person who's not the finance person at all in this room, give me just a layperson's explanation of issuing debt? How would you describe that to somebody not in?
We're taking out a loan. So we can do it a few different ways. We can go directly to banks or we can sell bonds. And so we will determine, but these are general obligation bonds, so they have to be publicly sold.
Okay.
Any other questions?
And did you say the budget is every other year?
So
every other year?
No, the county's internal debt issuance cycle is every other year. We try to go every other year for our administrative purposes, but that's just specific to us.
Okay.
And we're flexible.
Okay, so next up we're going to talk about the transparency dashboard. And so first we wanted to just walk through what the landing page is going to look like for that dashboard. So this is a lot of information that is currently in the works with our IT department. They're building out our bonds page with additional information. And so we outlined it here for you all to kind of see what kind of information we have here. We also included like where we think the dashboard link could go near the oversight and transparency measures section. But we wanted to get your thoughts if there's any additional information you would want to see on this page. We also included some frequently asked questions, and so you may be hearing things out in the community or just have questions yourself that you would want to see reflected up there.
The only thing I would add to that is where you have highlighted, Chloe, the add dashboard link here. The other option is to actually embed the dashboard in the page.
Oh, okay. So either, yeah, it could be a link or it could be embedded within the page. And we have mine and Jill's contact information, but for you all, we just have like your committee, your name and your expertise related to your appointment. No contact information.
They'll find us anyway.
Is there, in the frequently asked questions, I can't say, how does this impact Bunker County residents? It's probably in there because, I mean, the average person probably just wants to know, will and when do my property taxes increase?
Yeah, we do have that. We have
Okay.
that. And then like the approximate amount. that
Yeah.
we would equate to, yeah. And this can be a work in progress too. Like if more things come up, we can add to this section. But this is where we are at right now.
Makes sense to me. Do you have any other FAQs you want to add?
And as soon as we have like once it's on the website, we can also send the link out too, so you can kind of see it all visualized there. It's just in the works. Okay, so next we'll look at the draft of the transparency dashboard.
So hopefully this is something that you guys have had a chance to review. I know we reviewed it in the last meeting, but the link was sent out, so hopefully you had a chance to look through it. If not, we're still going to go over it really briefly. It has not changed too terribly much in substance from where it was before, but we did incorporate the feedback you guys gave us last time to make sure that it scratched all those itches. So again, at the very top of the dashboard, you have the overall amount of funds that have been allocated.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
I'm sorry, I need to do the Zoom first before.
Please hold. So you see at the top there, the overall amount of funds that have been allocated out of the total bond amount, both affordable housing and open space. And then just below open space, you'll see the overall number of projects that have been approved to move forward across both portfolios. To your immediate left there, you'll see a map of where those projects are roughly are. You know, as you can imagine, for instance, a greenway does not sit in a single point. And so that point is representative of where it is. And then also to the right, that graph that depicts not only the amount of funds that have been spent, but the amount that has been allocated or budgeted, however you want to look at it, and then the remaining portion of the bond funds that have yet to be allocated for any projects. Below all of that is a table that gives you a little bit more information on each project, including its status, how much has been spent, allocations, and how much of those allocations are remaining not only in aggregate, but also by individual projects. And it also kind of tells you kind of which category it falls into, for instance, whether it's administrative, affordable housing, or open space. And then at the very bottom is just a list of information that folks can use to kind of like orient themselves, and this can be edited and changed to include whatever lingo or text or definitions that we think need to be included. And cool, if I could get you to click on that little eye icon off to the right, that just kind of tells people generally how this dashboard works. You can just kind of, basically it's just explaining that all the elements in this dashboard are interactive. You can click that back button. And we can again change that lingo to whatever it is you folks feel is necessary. So if you wouldn't mind, scroll back up. Most of the elements on this page, you might need to shrink it a little bit, Chloe, in the bottom right of your screen, so that we kind of see all of it. That's probably fine right there. So for instance, if you go to the chart and click Maribel, both the map and the chart above are going to react to that. And it's going to zoom in on that project. If you hover over the dot on the map, it's going to give you a little bit of information, including an image. Now that's a stock image. That's not the project. That's putting that for illustrative purposes. Shows you know a little bit about it, but you'll see even more down in the chart below. And then the chart itself on the right shows you highlighted, kind of grays out everything else, what the amount allocated or spent on this is going to be. In this case, nothing's been spent on it, so that there's nothing that shows up. And it's going to be segmented by that category. So affordable housing, open space, administrative. That's in a nutshell how it works. If you would click Maribel on that chart again, Chloe, the one thing I would add in is that you can also do it another way. So just click on any of those dots on the map. Dark blue is greenways, the yellow or orange is affordable housing. Just go ahead and click on one, yeah. That will also filter the graph and filter the chart below. So those three things work in tandem. Click that dot one more time. Thank you. And then just click one of those, I guess the dark blue ones on the chart or on the right. Yeah, that's going to highlight anything that falls into that bucket. So in this case, it's those three projects right there. And you can filter basically by, you know, what's been allocated. If you want to do it that way, so see that. Another way you can do it is if you click that one more time, Chloe, just click the same spot again. And then use that zoom slider on the left there to go real far down. No, yeah, from the top down. Eventually, you'll find a little yellow bar because that's what's been spent. Scale is important. And then you can click that, and that's just going to highlight what has been spent, which is all in the administrative category. So if you don't mind, Chloe, just unclick that yellow dot. You'll see when we go back to the chart, there's also an overview of the project, very brief, couple of lines around what it is. So Maribel is that 156 unit affordable housing rental project. That's in there as well. So that's kind of the nickel tour of this dashboard. The one thing I will mention is while these three elements right here are very interactive, if you scroll to the top, the three elements at the top we first talked about, the overall number of projects and the bond stuff, that's not going to change no matter what you click. Those things are going to be static.
Yeah, because you can't change it.
Well, it can. Improper filtering would give people a bad idea, so that's why we're leaving that alone. If it suddenly it looks down like, wait, I thought we allocated 3.6 million. Why does it say 2.9? And then that would be something that people would have questions about. So we're leaving that alone. That's static. So are there any questions about this? Are there any elements that you feel are still missing? Being mindful of the fact that this will either be a link from a landing page with a ton of information or embedded into that same page that we just referenced. So is there anything that between those two things we have not covered or is not represented in a way that you feel is clear to the public or yourselves or whomever?
The only thing, I think it's the amount of information that's there is wonderful. Will people know it's interactive? I don't know that the little information circle down by terms, but there it seems like it's information about terms, not information about what you can do on the whole page. I just wonder how you can almost invite people at the top to click on things.
One of the things I would suggest for that maybe is to put something reminiscent to that on the actual page itself, the web page itself, because anything that sits on that page or it links to is going to be, if it's in a dashboard, it's going to be interactive. So adding that text there
Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't follow. Add in the
So the
text
landing
matter?
page is gonna be wrapped around this or
Yeah.
will link to this. I would include it there. You could even phrase it as for instance, if you're linking out to it, here's a link to our fully interactive dashboard.
Dashboard.
Or you could, if it's embedded, like use our fully interactive dashboard below, however you want to phrase that.
I think anything that, upfront really lets people know that it's interactive, because it's so cool what you can do, but you just have to know to do it.
And I will say this, for instance, specifically to that slider thing, as the project goes on, that slider will probably just end up going away because the scale will not be so skewed towards unallocated budget things. It would make more sense just to show without having the ability to slide. One thing I didn't note. So right now you're saying it shows we're looking at multiple projects. You can see on that graph there, it's saying multiple projects. If you click any project, Chloe, either on the map or the chart below, it's going to tell you that you're filtered down to now Lakeshore Villas on the chart itself, so that you can see what you're filtered to. That way, people get lost on it. That's at least one visual cue that they have to say, "Oh, I'm not looking at the totality of the information."
So my only question is in regards to status. So obviously once projects begin, and we might have talked about this before, like expected completion date. Is there?
Jill, Chloe, you're up.
So currently for the projects, we don't have expected completion dates. We have we don't have the project defined schedules wholly yet, at least for the Greenways project. But we have an estimate of end of 2025. But that's why we kind of went with status instead, because obviously with those project schedules, they tend to change a lot. And we don't want to, have faulty information, right? If the current project schedule says end of 2025 for Woodfin Greenways, the estimated completion date, but then that changes with the project schedule. So with the status, we could kind of have it be more flexible that way. But yeah, if you guys definitely want estimated completion date in there, we could put it in there. We just felt that having a status gave more of a sense of where the project's actually at, as opposed to
People are gonna ask anyways.
And I think seeing not started, then my next question is, when's it gonna start?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we can add that column.
The one thing I would suggest is that this can be a living document. It's something that as the project matures, we can add information to answer those questions, but we would just have to have that information in place.
We can also, the project overview section is written text, and so we kept it pretty short, but we could add text in there and keep updating that with project.
Or as I don't know, I'm not the tech person, but when you hover over the map and it has that box, is there a space to put that information in there? It doesn't necessarily have to be in the graph below, but I don't know.
Yes, if you wanted to put it there, we could put it there. It's just a matter of having the information.
Okay. Just when it says not started. I'd be like, well, when's it gonna start?
Mm-hmm. It does kind of beg that question.
And this is not live, right? No? Okay.
Now, this lives in,
Because those stock pictures are great. I would really want to know when it's gonna start. Get those out of there.
And I have, for the 3 affordable housing projects, I can put our architecture drawings that were submitted through the applications. We're just waiting to have our IT team build us a place to put those photos. But once that's available, we're gonna add those images. So we'll have that, the renderings.
I don't know whether, going back to what is the status, when is it gonna start and stuff like that, does it have to be its own column or separate thing? Could it just be under status, not started, expected start date such and such? Like, it feels like it could all just be right there.
So you would not be able to put it underneath the words not started, just because of the way that data is coming from our ERP system.
Okay.
However, that does not mean that it could not be sequenced in a way that is underneath each entry, or it could even be a hover over on that chart, or on that, on that chart if you wanted it that way. And there's a lot of alternatives. If we don't like the linear.
I mean, I would say the only thing about adding some sort of timeline, like start dates and end dates, is keeping them up to date, because we know it's not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Make sure that it's fully up to date.
so this dashboard itself will refresh on a daily cadence. It's the data is got to get, that's being updated by staff and internally, and as that data gets updated, this correspond with that, at least within a day, 24 hours.
This is a backwards question, but there's money that's allocated, and I guess allocated means approved at that
Budgeted.
point, budgeted, approved and budgeted. This comes a little bit, Jill, from our conversation earlier today, but I know with some of these projects, there is a cost increase buffer built into the approved budget amount. Would it be nice if a project got wrapped up and money was left over? How does that get reflected in all this? Does it just update to take that money back out?
So scroll down. Where you see spent, the
Yeah.
column spent, this column allocated,
Yeah.
and then budget remaining, or allocation remaining in this case.
Yeah.
You would see it there. It would not, they would have had 2% or 3% remaining,
Mhm.
and the project status would be completed or something like that. And that's how you would see it. You would see that the amount of money spent and the amount of money allocated, unless there's some kind of accounting treatment you guys are doing in the back end to not do that.
No, but I think to your point, we want to, if money's been allocated, but the project wraps up and there's money remaining, then we would want that to go back into the overall balance for the
It would just
bond. So
move
that would
unallocated.
we'd have to go through like a budget process to just right?
So you might see what I just described for a day or two, and then it sounds like it might go back into unallocated.
Yes.
And then the allocated amount would be updated so that it nets out to zero. Okay. I mean, wouldn't that be a nice world? I hope you have to do that.
Don't hold your breath on that happening.
And that would probably only apply to the open space projects, because the bond project, the affordable housing projects are loans, and so the loan gets written for the exact amount that we have allocated. So they'll pay back that amount. Any other comments or suggestions?
I have one other question, and it's more than just the dashboard, but just, is there, just kind of from an oversight standpoint, what we're doing, an amount for is it the administrative costs capped? How much are we allowed to spend on administrative costs out of the bond money?
So you're talking about like the administration for that
Little bar.
So the allocation total is that 1.7 million for the two bonds. So that's like the total budget we have for the lifetime of the bond.
For the lifetime of the bonds, okay. Okay, so it's been determined, that
It's been budgeted.
Okay, thanks.
Any other dashboard questions? So to sum up, as soon as we have the information around project start and end dates, we want to incorporate that somehow. Whether it be a timeline or just information that's provided here, and then a note on the interactivity on the landing page that leads to this, whatever form that takes. So those are the only two items. Am I missing anything? All right. Well, if you do think of anything, you can get in touch with me. Just email Mason. I'm just kidding. please tell Jill or Chloe, and they'll get up with me, and we'll try to fix whatever is that's broken or doesn't look right, or you want to work differently.
That's great.
One clarification I wanted to make with the question I just answered is the 1.7 is the allocation remaining for administrative, so like the total budget is the spent plus the allocation remaining, and that's across both bonds. So the, like half of that would be what's budgeted for open space, and half of that would be what's budgeted for affordable housing administration. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that was clear. It's not 1.7 from each bond. That's towards administrative.
And then, just as a final note, when we get the picture sorted out and those two changes worked out, and when our communications team gets the website in place, this will go live on the website. Until then, the link's probably going to not work after tomorrow. I put an end date on it. So.
Thanks, Matt.
Pleasure.
So that was everything for our presentation, but we can go to the next agenda item, which is the placeholder that we put on there for any additional questions or discussion points that the committee wanted to chat about. That was requested at our last one. Oh, was I wrong? Do we have another slide?
No.
Okay.
I think so. I think at this point we're just ready. Start seeing data.
Yeah.
For the next public comment. Do we have any public comment? We have to vote on it, or I always forget that. Go, okay.
Yeah, well, really quick, sorry, so the next meeting is gonna be March 20th and at 3:30 in this same room. And these are just some of the things that we are planning on discussing, which is conservation easement, bond allocations, which we're hoping to have ready in March. Any updates to the affordable housing bond projects, hopefully start dates and timelines and things. And then we'll also have a presentation on the county audit and financial report, the status of that, as well as a discussion about the annual report of this committee, which Jill and I will take on, but we want your feedback about what to include in that report and different things. Is there anything else, I guess, to add that you all can think of?
Is the other done?
We're close. The next week is Thanksgiving, so we'll see how it goes.
Right, then I think we can go for adjournment.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'm going to adjourn. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's a short one this week, huh?
Yeah, nice.